You won't believe who was sitting quietly in row 8 that day. No medals. No uniform. Just a tired-looking single dad, traveling with his little boy who wouldn't stop asking about airplanes. But by the end of that flight, every pilot in the F-35 squadron would rise to their feet and whisper one name that would shake the entire hangar: Falcon Zero. Before I tell you how that happened, hit the like button and subscribe, because this story will remind you that true heroes don't always wear the uniform anymore. Sometimes, they're just sitting in row 8, trying to raise a kid alone. It started on a chilly morning in Seattle. David Carter, a widowed single father, was boarding a small commercial flight with his 7-year-old son, Luke. His eyes were tired from working double shifts at a repair shop, his shirt slightly wrinkled, and his hands rough, the kind of hands that had once held a flight stick and now held a little boy's hand through life. He hadn't flown in years, not since the accident. As they settled into row 8, Luke pressed his face to the window, pointing at the jets on the tarmac. Dad, are those F-35s? He asked with the bright excitement only a child could have. David smiled faintly. Yeah, buddy. They're beautiful machines. The flight attendant smiled, noticing how he spoke, not like a mechanic, but like someone who knew those planes from the inside. But David didn't talk about his past. Not anymore. His call sign, his missions, his brothers, all buried beneath years of quiet work, grief, and raising Luke alone after losing his wife to cancer. Halfway through the flight, the captain's voice crackled through the speaker, announcing that they were sharing airspace with an F-35 training squadron escorting a military transport below them. Passengers pressed to the windows to catch a glimpse, but David just stared silently, a storm behind his calm eyes. Suddenly, a small turbulence hit. Nothing major, but Luke got scared, clutching his dad's arm. David reassured him gently, his voice steady and precise, instinctively using pilot terms. The man sitting next to him, wearing an Air Force jacket, turned and looked at him curiously. You sound like you've been up there before, the man said with a grin. David smiled slightly. Long time ago. But the conversation caught the attention of the flight attendants, one of whom had a brother serving in the same F-35 unit below. She messaged him mid-flight, joking that she'd met a guy who talked like a fighter pilot. The brother radioed it through the squadron's internal channel, half laughing, "Hey, anyone know a David Carter? Used to fly." For a moment, the radio went silent. Then one voice, deep, steady, and sharp, replied, "Did you say Carter?" Falcon Zero. Every pilot in that formation froze. Falcon Zero wasn't just any name. It was the call sign of a legend, the pilot who, 8 years ago, had disobeyed direct orders during a chaotic Middle Eastern mission to save an entire squadron from ambush. He'd guided a failing jet through enemy fire, taken the hit himself, and ejected only seconds before the crash. He'd disappeared after that, no one knew where he went. Command never cleared his name, and he never returned. The squadron leader, call sign Viper, immediately contacted air traffic control, requesting permission to verify visual contact. Minutes later, as the commercial jet cruised through clear skies, 3 F-35s appeared on the left wing, flying in perfect formation. Passengers gasped in awe, pulling out phones to record. But then something strange happened. One of the jets dipped its wings twice, a military salute. The pilots inside could see through the cabin window, a man sitting quietly in row 8, holding his son, confused and emotional. "Sir," the flight attendant whispered as she came to his seat, tears in her eyes. They're saluting you." David's throat tightened. He looked out, eyes locking with the pilots in the F-35s. The radio chatter inside those jets had gone silent, except for one voice whispering, "Falcon Zero confirmed. He's alive." By the time the plane landed, military personnel were waiting at the gate. Not to arrest him. Not to question him. Just to welcome him home. The squadron commander, older now, gray at the temples, stepped forward and snapped a salute. "Sir," he said, voice breaking, "you saved my entire team that night. We thought you were gone. We never got to say thank you." David stood there speechless, Luke clutching his leg. For a long moment, the airport terminal was silent. Then he simply nodded. "I wasn't saving a team," he said quietly. "I was saving family." Word spread quickly about the single dad from row 8, the quiet mechanic who had once been the fearless Falcon Zero. News outlets tried to find him for interviews, but he refused the spotlight. Instead, he returned to his small shop, where he taught Luke how to build and fix things, not just planes, but people. A few months later, he received a letter. It was from the Air Force. Inside was an official apology for the misunderstanding that had ended his career, and a Medal of Honor, engraved with the words, "For courage beyond command." Luke framed it above his bed, telling everyone proudly, "My dad's Falcon Zero." And sometimes, when the roar of jets echoed across the sky, David would look up quietly and smile. Because he knew that even when the world forgets your name, your actions, your courage, your love, your sacrifices, live forever in the hearts you touched. So next time you see someone sitting quietly in row 8, or anywhere really, remember, heroes don't always stand out. Sometimes, they just hold their child's hand, whispering lessons about life, loss, and bravery that no medal can ever measure.